You are in the Warriors Huddle with me, Bram, and with me, per usual, my master of all things video and sound, Maxine.
How's it going?
My boy and producer, MT.
What's up, Dev Nation?
And gentlemen, rejoining us after way too long, the newest addition to the Warriors Huddle, the prior senior staff writer for the Daily Californian and author for Cal Rivals, who covered all things Cal sports, including women's lacrosse, men's water polo, Cal football, and women's basketball, a Bay Area native who grew up passionately rooting for the local teams, the current ClutchPoints Golden State Valkyries and Golden State Warriors beat writer who covers every single press conference, shoot-around, and game for both franchises, and a man who spent a lot of time with and around the team following Jimmy Butler's season-ending injury, including press conferences with Mike D, Steve Kerr, Steph, and Draymond, Mr. Kenzo Fukuda. What's going on, Kenzo?
What up, guys? I wish we were meeting under more positive circumstances, but glad to be back. I'm sure we have a lot to talk about, and yeah, excited to jump right into it.
I don't mind telling you that I'm glad you and I have recorded a couple of times before this one. You know, like if this is the first and I'm all fucking bitter and like I get kind of teary, which may happen, I don't think I'd be able, I mean, who knows if I've been able to build up any credibility with you, but like if this is the first, the answer to that 100% would be no. So, you know, here we are. It's okay. There's going to be a lot of kind of emotional venting. But tell me about the team, man. So like you have, I said it in the intro, it meant so much to me. You've seen these guys. You've seen them afterwards. You were there when Jimmy got hurt. You talked to him immediately afterwards. You've seen Mike D, and you've seen him. What's the vibe? How would you describe how the Golden State Warriors are at least presenting themselves right now?
Gotta say, they're not presenting themselves pretty positively at all. I mean, how could you in this situation? I think from organization down, even security guards and like just, you know, team employees, they're pretty sad. Like I'm just like walking through the halls and they don't have that pep in their step anymore either. So it's been pretty somber. Draymond Green was at the podium the other night, right after like the day after Jimmy's injury. His press conferences are usually longer, only 4 minutes. He said he didn't have an answer for how to solve this thing yet, which I don't expect them to, but him being pretty honest and open about it kind of says a lot about where they're at. Steph didn't even go to the podium last night. He was taking a break. I think, you know, kind of speaks for itself. Even in the wake of the whole thing, I think they kind of knew what the injury was in the moment, even if they didn't have the diagnosis. So yeah, it's pretty sad up in Chase Center. I don't think there's any way around that.
I like the idea of a camera somehow following you around, you know, like you went to your first practice, whatever it is, you passed a bunch of people who you normally say what's up to, you know, like the guy, the security gate at Door J or whatever. And you're like, hey, man. And he's like, fuck you, Kenzo. And that just happened to you throughout, just step after step. I don't have people who work for the Warriors in my life, but the way you're describing it, either like really short, curt conversations, or you can just tell from body language people are upset. That's who I'm surrounded by. MT, Maxime, give us a glimpse into you guys. Start here. Where were you? You know, when you see Jimmy go down, where were you? What was your first reaction?
I was at home watching it and multitasking with my daughter watching, I don't know, probably K-pop Demon Hunters. And
so good.
I just remember like looking at it and watching the replay and the way it buckled a little bit. I was just like, oh, it's a wrap. And you know, like watching him joke with the referee walking off, I was like, well, maybe not, but I don't know. You could just, usually Jimmy is a tough player and he fights through injuries, and you know he'll bounce back quicker than you expect, but you could just kind of tell. It was the same feeling when you watched Kittle's calf kind of recoil when he popped his Achilles. It's that feeling, you know what it is, and you're kind of in denial by yourself. But it was sad. It was the closing of a window for a dynasty for sure.
Maxine, where were you?
Yeah, same thing, just minus K-pop Demon Hunters, you know, sitting on my couch. But that same energy of seeing Jimmy's reaction, not being as familiar with Jimmy as others and thinking, oh, maybe this is legit, and not just him being a total stud. Maybe it's an MCL, maybe it's something that he can come back from faster, you know, like doing all of the copium, but really knowing deep down, right, that this was it. Even immediately when it happened.
It's weird the things that stick out, like memories that people have. I have this memory. I don't even know how old I was. I was in a summer camp and I was swimming and I got in trouble. I did something. I hit a kid. I don't fucking know. I did something in the pool. The counselors got upset. And I remember the counselor calling me over to the side of the pool. And on my way over, I went underwater and then came up and faced my consequences. And when I was underwater, I remember thinking like, I have a few seconds here before I have to face whatever this is. You know, I mean, I literally, I can think of that relief before I pop back up. I was also at home. I'm also watching No K-Pop Demon Pummers for me. And I pressed pause. He gets hurt. And before they've announced anything, before he gets up, I paused it. And it was like me going under the fucking water again. Like I literally, I just wanted a couple of moments before whatever these consequences are. Let me wait, you know? And then, you know, I think I got thrown out of that pool. It looks like the consequences on this are pretty fucking nasty. So that's how it was. As far as where I'm at, I think I'm at stage 3 of the 5 stages of grief. You know, like I went through denial. Like I went through a period of time, just like Maxime said, I was like, I think it's meniscus. Like he's probably okay. It's like, that's weird that he's going down like that for an ankle injury, but I'm sure he's fine. Okay, well, I'm over that. They announced the fucking ACL immediately. And then I went through anger. I texted a bunch of people, bullshit. I don't even know what I meant by that. Just bullshit. And like, I'm super fit. And I'm now on bargaining. As you will see, we're going to be spending a lot of time during this episode bargaining our way through it. So, you know, we'll see how long that stage lasts. Kenzo, you're the only professional here, right? And this is the first season. And I would imagine that if things are starting to fucking turn the corner, man, and these guys look good. So this happens for you. You're in the arena. How do you handle it? Like, is there pressure to not be emotionally involved? Did it hit you hard? Like, where did this find you?
It hit me pretty hard because it was like a surreal moment because the whole arena was quiet. Like it was like pin drop silence and like I could tell immediately like something was wrong because Quentin Post was right next to him and he had his hands on his head like immediately, and no one was moving. So in that moment, I was kind of just thinking like this press conference is gonna be a freaking mess. Like this is gonna be so sad. They're not gonna tell us anything, and we're just gonna have to hope and pray. And yeah, it's just gonna be awful. Like the joke in the press room, kind of with all the other writers, is this team is like no short of content. Like there's always something going on with this team, and I could just feel like all of us collectively like start typing on our computers, like preparing to write like 600 words on what the hell just happened, and being up at like 2 a.m. waiting for the Shams tweet, which I was ready for. I had to stay up like for that. I knew it was going to come that night. So I had to write that at like 2 a.m. So I think emotionally in the moment, I was like preparing for like the long night ahead of me and trying to remove the emotional attachment to seeing a player like Jimmy go down, who's been so important for them. So yeah, it was quite a night.
Can you do a little research? So I've been reading all about how the electrical substation by Levi's may or may not be weakening the, various ligaments of 49ers. I also noticed that there was a couple of 49ers at the game where Jimmy got hurt. Did they bring any of that electrical bullshit into Chase Center? Like, do we know for sure? Or is it fucking contagious? Like, is there something that we should be looking into here? Because I don't know. I didn't like it.
Either that or like I also heard like Levi Stadium is kind of built near like a Native American burial ground. So if it's not electrical substation, it's cursed. It's something. So and then they brought that into Chase Center, and here
it is. Yeah, this is reporting. I'll have you guys know this is actual reporting. This has really been looked into. MC and Maxime, I'll be transparent with you guys. So this injury has helped me worry about a different Golden State related thing. So I mentioned 2 episodes ago that I thought I was going to go to the game on Saturday night. They were playing Charlotte. Since I did not, we ended up having to give up the tickets. But before I went and thinking I was going to go, I'd reached out to Kenzo and we were maybe going to hook up at halftime. And then I gave up the tickets and DM'd him literally night of Saturday saying I couldn't make it. Didn't hear anything back from him. And I've spent the last few days thinking like, I think Kenzo fucking hates me. He doesn't believe me that I didn't show. There's like this whole kind of like social thing that I was worried about. And now it's just all Jimmy Butler related deal. But there was a period of time there where I thought I'd cost us yet another beat writer, with my bullshit social antics. So I don't know, Kenzo, did you hate me? Like, where did we stand before this Butler thing?
No, I just missed it. I think I saw it, and then something happened in that game, and So I have a weird habit of just like seeing a text and then being like, oh, okay, cool, that's fine, but not actually texting it back. So that's a thing I got to personally work. My friends all know what I'm talking about.
Okay, you know what? So, I have a habit of being really emotionally needy. You should know that. And so, I'm going to need you to really cater to my emotional shortcomings. If we can, boys, right, give me a yes or no to this, because I think you guys have all answered it. Is this, in your mind, the end of the Steph Curry title window?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel it. I think it probably is. Sadly,
Well-
unfortunately, unless they can do something crazy, but we'll get into that later. I don't know how likely that is.
MT?
Yeah, barring any crazy trade that involves Kuminga and Butler, I think that window is unfortunately closed, and that's Steph's reaction.
I'm still bargaining hard. Like bargaining. What if? What if this? What if this? So how about we go through some of the what ifs, and then I'll give my answer after we've had a chance to consider all of them. All right, gentlemen. So the major topic today, I'll call the segment "What Happens Now?" And we've already got a glimpse. This has left all of us in kind of a bad spot, and I'll include in that all of us, Steph Curry. There's a video where, if we have it, let's pop it here. Steph standing through last night's fourth quarter ass kicking to Toronto. And let's just say he doesn't look super happy. Here's the video here. Steph is holding himself almost. He's got his arms folded over, seems both angry, disinterested, sad, and just, I mean, all of the emotions you don't want to see from your franchise player. So assuming that body stance is a good glimpse into his mental state, here's the idea for what happens now. I have 4 possible approaches, 4 things the Warriors might be able to do to kind of help themselves through this Jimmy Butler scenario. We'll go through each approach, and then I'm going to ask you boys 3 follow-up questions. Here's the questions on a scale of 1 to 10. How likely are the Warriors to take this approach? Scale of 1 to 10. How much do you like this approach? And scale of 1 to 10. How likely is it that this approach will allow Steph to enjoy the final act of his career? Approach number 1, gentlemen. I'll call this one, fuck it. We're all in. And the idea is they trade out Jimmy. They did something similar with Melton last year. Right? D'Anthony goes down, gets hurt, and they trade he and his contract and end up turning all of it. It was Schroeder and then a few other pieces. They ended up turning that kind of into Jimmy Butler. So in this scenario, they take Jimmy Butler's contract, they trade it out along with other assets, and they bring in a distressed, but an asset who can help them win theoretically right now. Here's some possibilities. Butler and JK and 2 first-rounders for Giannis and Kyle Kuzma. That's kind of the like pie in the sky, unbelievable. Maybe that could happen. Number 2, trade Jimmy Butler for Anthony Davis. Basically straight up, but you add likely 2 first-rounders just to really get their attention. Finally, you trade Jimmy, Pods, and 2 firsts, and you bring back Ja and Santi Aldama. So I'll work backwards. I don't think we have any interest in Ja. I don't think that happens. And skipping one, as much as we want Giannis, I just don't see Milwaukee do it unless he really wants to play here. I don't see that happening. So I think the most likely of these is Anthony Davis. The idea here is they want first-round picks, so the money works. Anthony Davis and Jimmy make about the same amount, and so we would just entice them with first-rounders. There's the idea. We should mention that Davis still has 2 years left and wants a new contract. If he goes to another place, they're going to have to pay this gentleman a lot of money, and we are not 1 episode removed from me pointing out that he had a non-contact fucking hand injury and may not be the guy that you'd like to pay $68 million to not play basketball. But other side to that, he's probably coming back in February. There's been some weird back and forth there. At first, it was reported he was going to have a season-ending surgery, and then he came out and said Shams was wrong when he reported that. So whatever. Let's just assume he comes back in February, okay? There's the approach. Let's start with the questions. Scale 1 to 10. Do you think the Warriors would be interested in doing this? 1, fuck no. 10, absolutely. They signed the deal now. Kenzo, why don't you take us first?
I think they're right now they're kind of at a 4, at least publicly. Mike Dunleavy was kind of basically asked this question in his presser the other day, and he said like he doesn't see them doing that. It's a little too ruthless, too cold-blooded. Jimmy's part of the future. Like he was kind of saying like we want him back next year so we can have that boost. Then I think publicly 4, but if they really do want to maximize this window that is closing really quickly with Steph, I think this is the only move that would actually keep them in contention. So I'm at a 4 right now. I think that could go higher maybe it ends up happening, but right now I don't see it happening from what the Warriors are saying.
MT, do you care about the morality behind it? You know, this guy got hurt and now we're sending him out. Is that wrong?
I would, but my guess is that they talk to Jimmy behind the scenes for that. They don't just make that move without talking to him, and Jimmy would be open to it and be like, yeah, like go do that. And then, because, you know, ACL, if it's a significant tear, I don't know what grade it is, but, you know, he's going to be out a full year. So he's not coming back until probably after the All-Star break. Warriors are usually conservative. So of next year. So I think you got to take advantage of it. And, you know, that's the last contract year for Jimmy Butler anyway. And then he's an unrestricted free agent. So I would do it. You know, Kenzo's more tapped in than I am, but I would think that they'd be at about a 7 on the scale for that, because it's the only option and it's the only thing that puts it in there. And to your point about Anthony Davis wanting a longer contract, I think you have to add language in the contract that says he gets this, like, incentivize it, right? Like if he plays over 60 games a full season, then he gets, you know, the bigger dollars. But anything under that, then it starts to trigger, you know, him being street clothes.
Kenzo's, I mean, I can't question anything Kenzo said. 4 sounds exactly right. What are they actually thinking? You know, I'd put it at about a 12 out of 10. This is the only fucking thing. It's the only thing. This is why I was saying earlier, I'm bargaining. This is the only thing where, you know, when I pop my head out of the pool, I'm not in trouble. This is the only thing where, like, well, maybe they've got a shot. They still got a dude who's coming back. So I think they'd consider it hard. Maxime, let's say they talk to Jimmy and Jimmy says, no, I don't want to do that. I did not sign with Dallas. I do not want to play there. Don't trade me. Would you make the trade anyways? You know, it's still up to them. He doesn't have a no trade clause. Like, would you pull the, you know, I understand that this is, you don't want it, but I'm not asking you personally. It's my professional decision. I'm making this fucking trade.
Yeah, no. And in fact, either way, I don't think that this moves the needle enough without Jimmy on the team. I don't think that JK is enough of a replacement to make it worth the bet that Anthony Davis will be healthy come playoff time. But your question is more about the morality of it. And I think if there's anybody in the league that is likely to, I don't know, strap on a robotic leg and take a bunch of the Santa Cruz Warriors and come out and beat our A-listers and make us feel like a complete trash franchise, it's Jimmy Butler, right? Like, he would figure out a way. If he says no and then we trade him anyways, like, he will burn this franchise to the ground. Like, that's just, you know, we talk about the optics of doing something like that. And this franchise is typically a franchise that takes care of its players. So if we did the exact opposite, I mean, kiss any opportunity of us getting Giannis, for example, goodbye. So there's no way.
If this is this is an actual deal, like, it could happen, you know, Dallas calls me or whatever, and the trade's on the table, and I go talk to Jimmy, and Jimmy says, like, no, I do not want to do that at all. And then I talk to Steph, and Steph's interested. The next conversation I have with Jimmy is like, tell Clay what's up. Like, fucking enjoy Dallas, dude. Like, it's just, I mean, is what it is. I don't know what I'd have to do to pacify it afterwards. But like, if Steph's on board, I do this in a fucking heartbeat. I'll jump to the last question, Kenzo. 1 to 10. I mean, all of this is conjecture. We're just guessing. That's all we can do. But 1 to 10, if they did it, how likely is it to help Steph enjoy the remainder of his career?
I've been wanting them to kind of get an Anthony Davis-like player for a minute, just because Draymond's kind of declining on that level, on that, like, defensively, whatever, the offense just hasn't been there. So I do think, like, I think it would be different than what Jimmy Butler's been adding to them, I think, but I do think it kind of gets them back to where they were before the Butler injury. Yep. Where they were at that point, that's like kind of like a play-in 6 seed maybe sort of range. But all they really want is that chance, that window to compete. So I still think I don't think it raises them any higher than they were with Jimmy, but I think it puts them in the mix, which is where they were. I was also getting hope that they were going to find some momentum and get to the 6th seed with Jimmy. So I think this kind of puts them at that same level. I have some other names that I think I kind of like even more than Anthony Davis.
Sure.
Lauri Markkanen is an interesting name.
Yep.
I think that salary also, you don't necessarily have to put Jimmy in there. You can just put JK. I think Buddy Hield, and then one more contract just to get to that $32 million. So that's an interesting one. If you're interested in Domantas Sabonis, that's another name that's distressed, and the Kings do crazy shit all the time. Those are some other names that I was kind of looking into, but
I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Although with Lori, I can see Ainge being like, I have to be your mascot for the next 3 years. Like, who knows the fucking demands he would make? You know, it's just like wild. 8 first rounders, and Chase Center is now named Ainge Place.
Yeah.
Sign me up. I'd go to
like
Ainge
the
Place if
Sabonis
Lowry's
thing.
on the team.
Yeah, and I agree. I think Sacramento is known to do some things, and they have interest in JK already. So, what I like about Sabonis, and I said this name last time, I don't know if it's a possibility, but like a Miles Turner, is anybody who could play the 5 and let Draymond play the 4. Because part of the reason why that dip is there that you talked about, Kenzo, from Draymond is he's just tired and run down from having to play people that are 5 inches and 70 pounds heavier than he is.
Yeah.
I like the idea of calling up Sacramento and be like, let's do some crazy shit, Sacramento. I know. I am aware of your history.
That's on the table if they really want it. So
anything can happen. I think all of us can associate something bad happens and you spend 2 milliseconds in your mind, be like, is this a dream? Like maybe this is going to disappear. Maybe this didn't really happen. If they can somehow pull one of these names back, you know, like any of these big names back, it's as close to, okay, we avoided that. It was just a dream, you know, like we're still on our feet. We still have a chance. So I think this is the best thing, which leads to the final question, 1 out of 10. How badly do we want it to happen? I think I'm at a 12 out of 10 on this one too. And again, I'm bargaining. Hit me in 2 weeks when the emotional swelling has gone down and maybe my response is different. But if I'm being honest with you guys right now, how badly do I want it? I want it so fucking badly. I wanted it to happen before I pressed play on that pause. You know, it's like weird, he's hurt. Also, we already have a trade in the bill. Sabonis is coming out of the back. It'd be like a WWE thing. Like suddenly they start playing DeMontis' music. And I'm like, oh shit, it's an immediate trade. I would have been fucking fine with that. Okay, you guys, 1 to 10. How badly do you want it?
I'm at a 6 because the Jimmy, it's just like this team is not going to be playing for. I like Jimmy, but if they want to be playing meaningful basketball, I think this option is the only option they have to actually like get back to that. But again, Jimmy's a great guy. He's always a great quote, so it's kind of hard to separate. For me, it's hard to separate the personality and the person behind it. So I'm at like a 6, maybe a 7.
You're a much better person than me. Unless those quotes are starting to be worth fucking points on the basketball floor, I don't give a shit what he's saying now. we need someone to score, dude. All right. MT.
I'm a little higher. I'm at like a 7, 8, low 8. Just because, again, Jimmy's not coming back until later in the year next year. And we just need somebody. So even though it'll probably end up with the same situation where Anthony Davis is hurt and not playing, I still want to roll the dice.
Yeah, I mean, if it's Anthony Davis, I'm like at a 3. Frankly, you know, like I love the idea of Anthony Davis, but Anthony Davis in practice has already screwed me literally because I said I wanted him and then he went out and broke his hand 5 minutes later. So not a good sign in general. You know, right? Like we talked about, Jimmy's an expiring contract at the end of next season. That's compelling, I'm sure, to a lot of teams, right? Maybe you hang on to him until the offseason. Hang on to him is the wrong way to put it. Maybe he's on our roster until the offseason and then, you know, he doesn't have the like Dame in Portland level, like, oh, I'm going to go home to rehab somewhere. But you could see him being like, hey, I would love to be whatever it is, you know, in some franchise that I know takes care of its players. And maybe I'm living in LA while I'm rehabbing and I don't really care. And then, you know, we can see what happens. But I like this guy on this coaching staff. And so trade me here and I'm happy with that. You know, you could see that working for both sides. It's really too bad he never played in Milwaukee because that could have worked out really well with Giannis. But, you know, Sabonis, you know, like MT said, giving something that could give Draymond a break, even Lowry. Sure, I'm into those ideas, but really only if Jimmy's into it.
Let's do some crazy shit, Sacramento. To approach number 2. I'll call this one, let's mortgage an uncertain future for a mid-present. So here the Warriors do what we thought they were going to do anyways. They trade JK, they add a couple of first rounders, they bring back somebody who is not necessarily a star, but, you know, would make somewhat of a difference. So same approach, 1 to 10 with the Warriors. Consider this. Let's start with you, Kenzo. What do you think?
I think they're at a 7, 8 kind of right now with that.
Yep.
They were already probably going to do this, I think, with JK's contract, just because like they have the picks, they have the contract, they were finding momentum, and they would want to press the speed button to get a little, get up into that higher tier of the West. So I think that they're kind of considering this one. This is like the stopgap middle thing where they can just like, if you get a Michael Porter Jr. or you throw in your chips or Trey Murphy, you kind of stay afloat. You're 5 games over 500. You kind of coast to the playoffs. You whatever, get killed by the Thunder. But then next season you have Trey Murphy, you have Steph, you have Butler coming back midseason, and then you can maybe extend this runway out for one last ride in their final years of their contract. So this is the route that I kind of want them to take. I think that's like, that makes the most sense. You don't mortgage your future. You don't sacrifice a lot of those post Steph picks. And yeah, you kind of stay relevant, albeit, play in tournament range.
Yeah, the ones we talked about last week, MPJ, JK Moody, Pod, some firsts, Trey Murphy and Loon, JK Moody and 2 firsts, Gafford and Clay for JK Healed and some protected firsts. And I got a new one here, JK and Pods for Zubac and Brooke Lopez. Clippers, it would also probably require first. Maxime, we've talked about these trades, this approach, now that Jimmy's not here, what do you think? Is this attractive to you? Would you a 1 to 10 for you? How badly would you like them to do this?
The first question I needed an answer to is like, what level of smokescreen is the Kerr quotes in wake of the Jimmy trade vis-a-vis Kuminga, right? He's like, yeah, of course, Kuminga's now in the lineup, and like, I'm really excited by what he's offering, right? Because if there is some magic, right, like Jimmy Butler's ACL snaps and it like flings some quantum particle through Steve Kerr's brain that suddenly makes him like Kuminga, right? Okay, well, there's something interesting here because Kuminga is an interesting player, and if they could figure out how to move through this rift, compelling maybe, right? But I also feel like the 4-year audition period for Jonathan Kuminga has reached its conclusion. Steve Kerr says, no, thank you, right? And so then I'd say, okay, well then why are we keeping him? Might as well ship him off. Then again, now rumors are starting to come out, and I don't know how, trustworthy these are, that maybe this is Kerr's last season. And if Kerr's not at the helm of this franchise, I mean, what does that say about Steph? But also, what does that say about whoever is going to coach Kuminga next? Because I think right now, all of that gets summarized into saying, I don't think this moves the needle enough. I do like the idea of the Zach Lowe approach of like, there's honor in being a first, second round exit every year with Steph Curry. Like, give him something to fight for. That's super cool. But without Jimmy Butler on this roster, there's just not enough pieces putting together. We need a tertiary option. Now we need to find a secondary option. And I don't think that the trades that we're talking about here move the needle enough for that.
There's any silver lining of this injury is that maybe it resets the relationship with Kuminga. I mean, talk about a giant maybe. If I'm in like, my wife and I aren't doing well, and then there's a zombie apocalypse and the rest of the world's population goes down, well, not a real good thing that the zombie apocalypse has happened, but chances of, Eric and I kind of resetting where we stand pretty high. We have to,
you have to.
Yeah, the world's fucking changed. We got to survive this. And so, the world's changed in Golden State, so maybe this resets their relationship. As far as the approach, so I was going to say, Kenzo, you have changed my answer to this. I was going to say, I don't like this. This is the worst case of all worlds. We're giving up first rounders, and we're not going to fucking catch up to anybody. So for what? Why the hell would we do that? But I hadn't thought about a 2-step. Bring in somebody, a young talent, get them acclimated, and then next year – re-add Jimmy or whatever trade value you would have, and then go. So you've allowed me to see the upside on this. I don't know, 7. I still want that first one. I want to bring in a big name. But I'm not okay with just like, well, it's over. And so if this is the next step on that, I'm at a 7. All right, I skipped an approach, and Maxime, you have helped me realize that. So let's cover it. This one's called a golden second chance. Here, the idea is we just pretend like the drama with JK did not happen. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Everything was fine. He was kind of hurt, but now he's fine. He's ready. So in this thing, no trades. We just welcome Kuminga and his athleticism right back into the fold. He somehow takes a leap, and is doing all the things that Jimmy did. We don't slow down at all. Yeah. So the first 1 to 10 on this, I'm going to change. How likely is Kuminga being willing to do that? Because the maturity level, I mean, I can tell you for me, and if I had the memory of that main character from the movie Memento, like, okay, if I've just totally forgotten shit, but like, there's no fucking way. I would be so pissy. There's no, you need me now? Fuck you. You know, my demand's still on the table, but I'm not Kaminga and I'm a psychopath. So how likely do you think it is that JK can turn the page and embrace the golden second chance?
I'm at a 5 with that, just because I kind of think he kind of has to do it, whatever's forced upon him right now.
Yep.
Because the Warriors, this was smart of them during the offseason. They control his future entirely. Like, if he doesn't want to play, they have him on a team option, and they can just take that team option and not play him and screw his whole value and screw his career up. So they kind of dictate where this thing goes. As for him being like a good soldier about it, I think the teammates and people in the locker room, I think they've heard conflicting reports. For the most part, they're on board with how he's handled things. I think it's been strictly just a basketball misunderstanding between him and Steve. I don't think it's anything personal. Again, that's a lot of like drama going on with that, and a lot of vitriol going back and forth. I think Kaminga's like agent has been tweeting out a bunch of shit, which I know people in the Warriors organization aren't happy about, for sure. So yeah, I think like this whole scenario is like exhausting to me, and it's the path I don't want them to take. I think they need to move Kuminga. I think it's best for both parties. Yeah. But I also feel like with the way Mike Dunleavy was talking in that press conference, and the way they're sending out feelers that Kuminga could come back to the lineup, and in the fact that he did play, I feel like this is the route they might end up taking, which is like, I think they're trying to pump and dump Kuminga's value so they can trade him in the summer.
Right.
And in that case, they're going nowhere. They're going to have a high draft pick, which is maybe what they want to do anyway. But I don't like this plan at all if they want to compete this season.
Can you imagine if like your friends in a relationship you've kind of been questioning, you know, and you just get these little fucking updates, you know, like it first starts and you're like, I can see the upside, but we've got to work on it. And then somewhere along the lines of like, look, man, we stopped talking. Like, we know for sure we're going to break up. This is not working out. She's demanded that we break up. I thought that was necessary anyways. We're going to break up. And then the next time you talk to him, like, oh, no, everything's fine. Yeah. We like, hey, no, we go out all the time and we are totally fine. You wouldn't be like, oh, great. Like I can see where that's going. Fantastic. I will give credit to where it's due. The smile that Kuminga flashed to Draymond after he hit his opening lob when he first came back in, you know, I was really surprised by that suggested a maturity that I do not hold, you know, and then maybe he can put some of this shit behind him. But I'll skip to the final question. The Steph 1 to 10, how likely is it to make him happy? If I'm Steph Curry and this shit happens and I'm, you know, I see my mortality and I'm worried about it and people are talking about it, and Mike Dunleavy schedules a meeting and he comes in, he's like, we're good. I got to figure it out. So, oh, what are you going to do? We're going to play Kuminga. I'm like, well, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, how come we didn't play him before? And so I wouldn't be like, oh, great. You guys have figured out. I would be at a 2 or a 3. Like, this is not, you're not addressing this. That's not a thing. And so for that reason, I don't want them to take this approach. I don't think that you can pacify Steph with a recrack at a relationship that has failed so many times.
Yeah. I don't think they should go down this route, but after last night, it made me feel like they are going to go down this route, which is very, very concerning for everyone involved, for Steph, for Steve Kerr, for Draymond. I just don't like this plan at all.
Maxime, to you, 1 to 10, your opinion.
-6. I mean, so I feel like we got to read a little bit of the tea leaves here, right? There's some breadcrumbs being tossed down a couple of different paths, you know, or this Robert Frost two roads in the woods here, right? On the one side, you have like Lacob throwing a party on the sideline every time Kuminga's doing anything, making it real clear which camp he's in. He's in camp play Kuminga. And then if you follow that road, then it starts to make sense where you're hearing, oh, this might be Kerr's last season. And then you're like, maybe Steph's going to get his 5th ring in Denver, you know, like it really starts to open up this whole other timeline thing, right? So that's one road. I'd prefer not to go there. I think Steph would prefer not to go there, but he said he only ever wants to play for one coach, and Steve Kerr. It would be hard to imagine another coach coming in and trying to helm an organization with Steph Curry. And then on the other side, you have the tea leaves that are franchises like the Golden State Warriors are maybe holding their cards for a Giannis sweepstakes in the offseason for the 15th offseason in a row. It feels like we've been having the same story over and over again, but still, where there's smoke, there's some amount of fire. And then you could see the puzzle pieces sort of get put together where, like you said, Kenzo, the pump and dump in the offseason, you kind of make it work. And I think it all comes back to Steve Kerr isn't in a vacuum not playing Kuminga when the rest of the organization is like, we love this guy. Lacob may be saying that, but I'm sure if Steph and Draymond are sitting in the room with Kerr and are saying, dude, what are you doing? You got to play him. There's a mutual respect there that Kerr is going to figure it out. So what that says to me is that Steph and Draymond, to a certain extent, are also not feeling Kuminga. And so then collectively, there's a decision point right now, which is, do we say bye to Steve Kerr and Stephen Curry at the end of the season, or are we saying goodbye to Kuminga sometime either in the next week or the next 6 or 9 months or whatever? Those are the two paths forward. I don't think that there's any middle ground that is going to make sense for this franchise.
Can you imagine the conversation? If you're Kerr and you sit down with Kuminga, what do you say? Like, oh, so I've fucked up the last 4 years, man. Like, oh,
back in, get back in there.
Yeah, weird. Before we were playing you 0 minutes, we're gonna need about 35 from you now. Is that cool? Let's see how this plays out.
But he already announced that he was in the starting lineup to start the season, and in fact, he was, right. So he's fallen back out of the rotation. Like, there's no coming back from that. They'd be like, hey, my wife and I are having a hard time, so we're gonna have a baby because that's gonna make everything better. Actually, that didn't make anything better. Let's have a second baby. It's like, no, this is already a shit situation. Like, we're done here.
Oh, and there's a bunch of in between. It didn't work. We're getting a divorce. Actually, we're going to therapy. Nope, we're getting a divorce. We're giving the kid up for adoption. No, we're keeping them. We're having 3 more. No, we're not. It was just like, what's happening, dude? Like, what's your approach here?
Yeah. No, it's a mess. I mean, imagine like picking between Jonathan Kuminga or Stephen Curry in the last era of his career. Like, you would think that's no brainer, but right now it really feels like they might go down this Kuminga path where like they're trying to shoot for Giannis and develop JK, and it's like I think I would stick to the guy who got you 4 titles and just what he owes that guy. But right now it feels like that's a debate, which is a very scary time in Golden State.
We will see. So let me underline. I'm old and I've rooted for the Warriors under Chris Cohan. Terrible owner. Lacob has made real differences, brought real success, all of that, and he has nothing but my support. Nothing. But if it starts to feel like he is running the team, not the basketball minds, nothing else, and there's been some suggestions on that, concerns can pop up. We'll see. We don't know that. We'll see, right? We got a little bit of time, but we do have one final approach. This one's called All Good Things Come to an End. We just wear it, gentlemen. They tank, and I've spent a lot of time doing this before the dynasty started. I've rooted for a lot of ping pong balls in my life. Right now, the Warriors are the 19th pick in a draft that our draft expert, KP, has labeled the best she has ever covered in her illustrious career. I'll add that we are only 3 games over Miami, 2.5 over Portland, 1.5 games over Philly and Orlando, and 1 above Cleveland. So we are less than a week away from moving that from the 19th deep into the lottery into the 14th. And if they decide to just wear it, maybe Steph takes a little bit of time off here, they could probably slide a little bit further down. Yeah. I think we run into the exact same problems. The Steph 1 to 10. How do you explain this to him? We're giving up. I don't know if you ever get him on board for that. I guess the idea is we hope to get an asset to trade during the offseason to bring somebody in, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the last approach. Yeah. And so all of them in tow, if it was, in fact, not up to you, answer 2 questions at once. 1, what do you think the Warriors will do? 2, what do you hope the Warriors will do? You guys can, whoever wants to take it first, go at it.
I think I think what the Warriors will do, I might be a downer, but I actually kind of think they might go down that Kuminga second chance route. Like
Yep.
My gut feels like they're doing that, and that's what I don't want them to do. What I want them to do is I think I want them to do the trade for like MPJ or Trey Murphy and kind of salvage the season, stay afloat, be competitive, 8th seed, and then figure it out next year, figure it out in the offseason, do whatever you have to do. That's the route I want them to take. But I feel like they're going to go down this really bad route where you're picking Kuminga and you're trying to pump up his value and you're sacrificing the season. And I kind of think you should try to salvage something from this year.
Maxime?
I don't know. I'm more of the camp that, like, it feels like the MPJ route, for lack of a better term. Not that he's the only person that fits into this category, but sort of feels like kicking the can down the road of what is the end of the dynasty, right? And I feel like we either go out in a blaze of glory one way or another, either by burning the building to the ground or by having Steph be a phoenix rising from the ashes or whatever it is. So, you know, I am actually, I agree with Kenzo that it seems like they're planning to keep Kuminga because this franchise loves the tantalizing potential of a Giannis trade at some point in the future. And, you know, I sort of understand it from that perspective. And so, like, okay, we're not getting enough right now. We got to pump up Kuminga's value a little bit more. Let's wait and see what happens in the offseason. Trade demand be damned. But what I would like them to do is either do sort of a big swing for the French's trade now or in the offseason. Or guys, you know, one thing that we didn't talk about, fuck the 2 timelines. What about 3 timelines? Keep the pick, have Kuminga be the middle and thread the needle with Steph on one. I mean, it could happen, you know?
Oh, man.
No, that's the worst case. I'm kidding.
Light years fucking ahead. I've told you what I want. I want Giannis. Go big. Home run swing. Let's see where it goes. What I think is going to happen, everybody likes to be right. Everybody. You know who likes to be right probably the most? Competitive fucking billionaires. If Lacob's been given an opportunity to like see who was right about Kuminga this whole fucking time, I think it takes it. And so I agree with you. I think that's what happens. I think that we already saw a little piece of it last night. Like they slowly conceded to it. It's not like he started. You know, it's not like they came out and they're like, all right, Kuminga, go. They just got their ass handed to them in a game that they had circled as a revenge game. Bob spent a bunch of time talking about that shit. And then they basically had to go like, fuck, let him play. Like, what else can we do? You know, and then he got real minutes. I think he ended up with 14 or above. I forget his ultimate total. So yeah, I think that's what they end up doing. And I'm not super convinced that that's going to end up positively, but I guess we'll find out, you know, and
another thing was Joe was like cheering. He was like cheering every time Kuminga did something, like visibly cheering. And I think Tim Kawakami tweeted this out. He's like, he asked him in the NBA, like, hey, well, what do you guys think about that? And the guy basically said, like, everybody in the league saw that. Everybody saw that he was rooting for Kuminga, like that was his own kid. So yes, that's sweet. So everyone knows how much Lacob loves Kuminga, and I don't know. I think that's the most telling thing that came out from last night. I think that whole situation. So
Kenzo nailed it. We're looking at a tweet from Kim Kawakami, quote, asked a well-connected NBA person if he saw Lacob's roaring reactions to Kuminga's explosive plays last night. His response, everybody in the league saw that. So there we go. Exciting times, gentlemen. I guess we'll see. I mean, we will know in the next few weeks here. Kenzo, to far more, I don't know, feel good topics. Loved having you for a third time.
Yeah.
You are easily our new guest of the year. And for people who need far more Fukuda in their life, where do they go?
You can follow me on Twitter. I'm posting stuff about the Warriors every day, whether it be during games, press conference videos, write-ups. I just wrote up kind of what we did here a little bit, like on the options the Warriors have. I didn't really put the tanking thing in there because part of me doesn't think they're going to do that, but it's definitely an option. So yeah, I work for ClutchPoints. You can follow me there. And yeah, I always love jumping on the Warriors huddle. This is always a really fun conversation. And yeah, we're in a weird time with the Warriors. Like it's mayhem right now.
If you're looking for me, I will just be constantly checking my Twitter account, wondering if Kenzo's DM'd me back. It's a sweaty, weird experience is what it is. We are also on social media sites. We're on YouTube, where Maxime and Marcus continue to do excellent work. We are looking for your questions, your comments, your concerns, your anything, which you can email to
huddle@warriorshuddle.com.
Woo! With that in mind, go Warriors, and hopefully we'll see you real soon.